She isn't who she says she is. That is when I realized the truth. I stood frozen, my eyes fixed on the scene before me. My wife, Isabella, was kissing her ex-boyfriend, Alexander, in our bedroom. The same bedroom where we had shared countless nights, laughter, and tears. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I tried to process what I was seeing. How could she do this to me? To us? I thought we had a perfect life, a perfect marriage. But now, everything seemed like a lie. I took a step back, my mind racing with questions. Who was this woman I married? What else had she been hiding from me? I needed answers, but my voice was caught in my throat. All I could do was watch, helpless and betrayed, as my world crumbled around me. I met Isabella at a charity gala 3 years ago. She was beautiful, charming, and intelligent. We hit it off immediately, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. We got married a year later, and everything seemed perfect. We had a beautiful mansion, a loving relationship, and a bright future ahead of us. But, as time went on, I started to notice small things. Isabella would often receive mysterious phone calls, and she would quickly excuse herself to take them. She would also sometimes disappear for hours without telling me where she was going. I brushed it off as mere paranoia, thinking that I was just being too possessive. But, deep down, I knew something was off. One day, I decided to follow her, to see where she was going and who she was meeting. That's when I saw her with Alexander, her ex-boyfriend. They were laughing and talking, and it seemed like they were still very much in love. I felt a pang of jealousy, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Maybe they were just friends, I thought. But, as I watched them, I realized that their relationship was far more complicated than that. I decided to confront Isabella, to ask her about Alexander and their relationship. But, before I could, I received a call from my business partner, telling me that our company was in trouble. We had lost a major client, and our stocks were plummeting. I had to fly to New York immediately to try and salvage the situation. I left, feeling anxious and unsure about what the future held. Little did I know, my life was about to change forever. I spent the next few days in New York, trying to fix our company's problems. But my mind was always on Isabella and Alexander. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. When I finally returned home, I decided to confront Isabella about what I had seen. She denied everything, telling me that I was just being paranoid. But I knew what I saw, and I knew that she was lying to me. I felt a wave of anger and hurt, and I didn't know how to process my emotions. I started to investigate, to dig deeper into Isabella's past and her relationship with Alexander. What I found shocked me to my core. Isabella and Alexander had been in a relationship for years, and they had never really broken up. They had been using me, using my wealth and my influence to further their own interests. I felt like a fool, like I had been blind to the truth. I didn't know what to do, or where to turn. I felt alone and betrayed, and I didn't know how to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. As I sat in my study, surrounded by the opulence of my mansion, I realized that nothing was as it seemed. Everything was a facade, a carefully constructed web of deceit. And I was just a pawn in their game. I spent the next few weeks in a daze, trying to come to terms with what I had discovered. I felt like my whole world had been turned upside down, and I didn't know how to right it. But, as I delved deeper into the truth, I started to see things clearly. I realized that I had been living in a bubble of wealth and privilege that had shielded me from the harsh realities of the world. I had been so caught up in my own life, my own problems, that I had neglected the people around me. I had neglected Isabella, and I had neglected myself. I knew that I had to take action, to make things right. I started by cutting ties with Isabella and Alexander, by removing them from my life. It was a difficult decision, but it was necessary. I then started to focus on myself, on my own healing and growth. I started therapy, and I started to work on rebuilding my relationships with my friends and family. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I finally felt like I was taking control of my life, like I was living the life I was meant to live. And, as I looked back on the past, I realized that I had been given a rare gift. I had been given the chance to see the truth, to see the world for what it really was. And I was determined to make the most of it. It's been a year since I discovered the truth about Isabella and Alexander. It's been a year of growth, of healing, and of transformation. I've learned to let go of the past, to forgive myself and others. I've learned to see the world in a different light, to appreciate the beauty and the complexity of human relationships. And I've learned to love myself, to accept myself for who I am. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. I've been through the fire, and I've come out the other side. And, as I look back on my journey, I realize that it was all worth it. The pain, the heartache, the betrayal, it was all worth it. Because, in the end, it led me to where I am today. It led me to a place of peace, of love, and of acceptance. And, for that, I am eternally grateful.